Welcome to Deeply Rooted, a web series on mindset. My name is Tony Wisdom, aka Tony Gaines. I've spent over 20 years in the music business as a producer, engineer, label owner, and executive. This show is dedicated to changing the narrative on success. I reached out to the most successful people I know. I want to know what drives them, their greatest mistakes, their best advice, their secrets to success, and how all of that has shaped who they are today. Take a journey with us. Hey, there we are. Welcome to Deeply Rooted, Season 3, Episode 3, with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Craig Butler Sr. Part of this show, big part of this show, is about changing the narrative on success. Especially the younger generation. We live in such a instant gratification, I want it now culture, and people look at money and fame and glamour and glitz as success. But to me, you don't live a life more successful than this next guest. He's been in effect in our community for as long as I can remember. So this is his moment. This is our chance to give him his flowers. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Craig Butler. There he is. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fine. I don't know if I can live up to that intro you just did.
Well, the thing is, you've already lived up to it. And, I got something a little special for you. So I had a few people send in some messages that they wanted to play for you. So rather than try to convince you of it, I'll just let people that you've affected tell you. So let me get to this. Well, where did that go? Okay, let's see. Here's the first one.
Coach Butler, it's Christian Pope. I always tell the story about, first of all, being scared to be on the team because at tryouts, you was just going through everybody, just on top of them. If they couldn't hoop, you basically told them to their face. So then when I get picked to you guys' team, I remember the first day of practice, you said, we're not going to lose a game, and we're going to go to the championship. And I remember looking at our team and thinking, Coach, it's crazy. I don't know where the hell I'm at right now. But you're absolutely right. We did not lose a game. We lost in the championship, but we weren't even supposed to be there. And I never forgot that lesson. You used to come to my games all the time, get mad at Coach or mad at me because I wasn't playing up to what you knew I could do. And in life, that's all I'm trying to do now is remember that whatever's in my mind, I know I can do. And if I tell myself I can get there, I can get there. And you helped me with that mentality. I love you. Anytime I see you, I'm stopping to talk to you. And I'm glad that Tony's doing this because you should have got your flowers a long time ago. Much love.
Thank you, sir.
That was Christian Pope. Here, I got another one for you, Coach.
Hey, Mr. Butler. It's little Bobby White right here. Just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for, just being there and supporting us kids who didn't have parents in the stands, supporting us kids in practice who wanted to quit and just give up, and, just giving us a black figure, father figure in the stands for us kids who didn't have fathers in the stands. It meant a lot for you and Mr. Harris to dedicate your time and your sons to share you guys with us. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you, man. It meant a lot.
Got a couple more.
Thank you, sir.
Here we go.
Hey, Mr. Butler, man, I appreciate everything you've done for me since 8th grade, man. You're a vital Peace to this community, man. We appreciate you. Much love, man. Stay strong. You always in my prayers, man. Love you, Smoke.
Thank you, Jermaine.
And then I have one more for you, sir. And this one got lost somehow. So the last one got lost, and I'm gonna have him send it again, and I'll play it later if he does. But that was my little brother, Rudy. So he had a message for you as well. So I'll get him to send it again. But you see what I'm saying? Like that's all the proof you need right there. You know, and that's many generations. That's young, that's older, you know, so that's a true testament to a life well lived, sir. So hats off to you, man. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
So to get into the interview, this show is really about the mindset, your mindset, and you know how you see things from your side of the world. But can you give me your personal background right quick?
I grew up on the south side of Chicago. It was a heck of an experience. I can tell you about gang life. I can tell you about not being successful. I can tell you about my parents deciding that we needed to live in another part of the city because where we were, I was not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And we moved to a part of the city where the kids went to school and they didn't hang out. We hung out, but it wasn't like we did at the other school I went to. And I got a chance to see what success was and what striving to be successful meant. And sports became integral in my life. The watching, the playing, the understanding of the mental toughness that it took. And I tried to instill that in all the guys and girls I've coached over the years. And I'm very, very pleased and happy to see that a lot of those people have been successful. And then we were able to transfer that into the Can We Talk program in the Lawrence Public Schools, and then presenting at 2 national Black educators conventions, one in Baltimore and one in San Francisco. And we were able to work with Evanston High School in Evanston, Illinois, where Northwestern University is situated.
Okay.
And they ran a great program. And we brought another one to Independence, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
I mean, 2 different places.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
At the Independence, Kansas school district, we were able to meet with the teachers, and then we stayed there and met with the community in the evening.
Oh, wow.
And we told the community and we told the teachers, it's a team effort to work with our kids and to get them through and point them on the way to be successful in life.
That's awesome.
And never give up.
Awesome. So, who is Craig Butler, the person? How would you describe yourself?
Oh gosh. I guess I could say I'm a person that never gives up. I try and look at the glass as half full. I never, ever look at it as half empty. And I've done that with a lot of kids in, let's say, stressful situations.
Okay.
And one of the things that we were successful in doing was teaching our young males and females, Black, Indian, Hispanic, how to talk and how to relate. A lot of the kids had attitudes.
Yeah.
And the teachers picking on me, they were saying, hey, you just count, that teacher may teach 4 or 5 classes a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And to single you out takes effort that they don't have. But if you're there and you're creating an asshole, then they have to deal with you.
Yeah.
And you're in a lose-lose situation. And one of the things I taught all of my kids was that you need to recognize when you're in a win situation, a lose situation, or a draw. And in a draw and a lose, you lose. And when it comes to education, study. I came from a junior college in Chicago to a small Mennonite college in North Newton, Kansas. Our dorm was in the middle of a Milo field. And I'm saying, now, what is Milo? What does it do?
Now, you were playing basketball?
Football.
Football. And what position did you play?
Linebacker and offensive guard.
Oh, wow. So you're a mean sucker.
No, just determined. Just determined.
Yeah.
And we learned how to study. We learned how to be successful in the classroom. And that took a lot.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time in the dorm rooms crying and just figuring out, hey, we're kind of deficient. We need to get busy.
Yeah.
And one of the things we came up with is you study Sunday through Friday. Saturday, you don't pick up a book. The night before a final, we would always have a party. And a lot of the kids say, why are you doing that? Well, we already know what we know, and what we don't know, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But if you sit up and study all night before a final, then nine times out of 10, you'll be fatigued, and you won't be able to get things done the way you felt that you should. But if you're on top of things from the beginning, when you get to the end, you already know what you know.
I love that.
And then you relax.
Yeah.
You relax and you approach it from a perspective of, I got this. And I was able to relate to that in sports and teach that to the kids. And we had fun.
Yeah.
I have always told kids, if you're playing a sport and you're playing it because you enjoy it, because you love it, just like teachers, when they're teaching a specific subject, they study that subject, they know it. And if you show that you have an interest in that subject, they'll bend over backwards to help you because that's their pride and joy. Same thing with sports. One of the things I've always kind of smiled at was that a lot of folks, when they talk to people about being successful, they talk about the time spent in that gym by themselves, or working out by themselves, and how much work they put in. And the average person turns on the TV and they see these guys operating at a high level, don't realize how many hours they've spent doing that. Your son is an example.
Yes, sir.
They worked hard to get where they wanted to get.
Yeah.
And spent a lot of time.
So to kind of piggyback off of that, how do you define success?
That's a real hard thing to do. You can be successful in one area and absolutely non-successful in another. To me, success is how you carry yourself, your character, and what you can pass on. Okay, and passing it on to the point where everybody understands that I am the captain of my ship. I control my own destiny. There's some things that you have to survive, and some of the things I survived, some of them I didn't. But when I didn't survive, I tried to analyze it. Okay, now what did I do wrong? And then try and build on that in the next situation.
That's a great answer. So in terms of all of, you know, we just heard several messages from people from over many years, right? All of those years, what drove you? What kept you going? What was your motivation?
My motivation was seeing so many young black men going to jail.
Mm.
I worked for Governor Bennett, and my job was to develop programs and put them in prisons where the inmates, after they go through the program, can be successful once they get out. And the one thing that these guys did not have was the understanding that it's on me. It's on me. And the other thing that kind of blew me away was just how many men of color were in prison in the state of Kansas. And I'm saying, whoa, we're nowhere near this in terms of population. What's going on?
Oh,
You
wow.
important people to put them in jail or what? And the other part of that was that our young ladies were having babies. Our guys were going to jail. Our girls were having babies, going on welfare. And as I have told a lot of folks, you know, you can have a kid. All that is a bump in the road. You have your child, you go back to school. Education is the key to success. And if I have been successful, that's what I consider it to be, education. I went back and got my master's degree in education at 44 years old.
Wow.
Everybody called me grandpa, but I enjoyed it. I worked at a charter school in Kansas City, Missouri, and later on became the principal of that school. Didn't last long because it was it was just terrible. But I set the school up so they could be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what is a charter school? Just real quick, like I never understood what a charter school was.
Basically, well, in different states, they're different entities. But in the state of Missouri, a charter school was its own school district, and they receive funding directly from the state, directly from the feds, and they hire their own staff. They develop their own curricula, and they spent more time with the children.
Okay.
Or that was the theory, at least.
Yeah.
To spend more time with children to get them to the point where they could be successful.
Okay. So, Mr. Butler, how has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for later success?
Well, there are two kinds of failure. One is a self-initiated failure, and I've had a few of those. And the other is systemic failure. And I had to learn the difference between the two. And once I learned that difference, I was able to be successful in terms of achieving the goals that I set. That's a hard one to explain.
Okay.
It really is.
Now, can you remember a time where you fell hard and at that time it seemed like, you know, it was a big deal, but really it set you up for a later success? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I flunked a Spanish class. I had put every ounce of effort into that, and I flunked it. And the bad part about it was that my wife had a bachelor's degree in Spanish. And we came to the conclusion that the one side of my brain did not talk to the other side of my brain. I mean, it just didn't work. So, well, I failed it. I got a D in it. The professor said, "Butler, you tried so hard. I'm going to give this to you." I said, "Thank you, sir." And then I explain to kids that are going through education, you got to have a certain amount of sprouts. And when we were in college and we were having a tough class, we would ask the professor to please give us a sprout. And they said, well, what do you mean by that? That means give me an opportunity to do the best that I can in this situation, and please recognize that this is a complete and total effort.
Yeah.
And I tell the kids, especially at the high school level, spend time with your teachers, talk to them, let them know who you are.
There's definitely value in relationships. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Success is built on relationships. Relationships with yourself, your family, your friends, your professional people that you work with, and just be yourself.
Yeah.
Be who you are.
I love that. That's great advice. We talk about that a lot on this show. And so, Mr. Butler, what is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made? Could be money, time, energy.
Family. Family. They're the ones that you leave a lasting legacy with. I remember my grandfather, and I remember my grandfather's father. I spent a lot of time with both of them in Magnolia, Mississippi. And then we had an Aunt Viney. And Aunt Viney was about 4'1" and ruled the roost. Okay. And her husband was my Uncle David. Uncle David was 6'9".
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And to be that tall, my Aunt Viney was born in 1894. And she and my Uncle David were married. And she was my grandfather's aunt.
Wow.
So whatever she said went. You know how the black family is.
Yes, sir.
You have matriarchals and you have patriarchals. But that matriarchal most times is influencing. That's a better word. And I look at that and I sit down and I think about all of those people and how I knew them and talked to them. And that's our history.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we came up with in the Can We Talk program, was that our kids did not know their history. And if you don't know your history, you have no idea of where you're going.
I love that.
And that's what we taught the kids. And we used to tell them, when you're in the store and you see an older black person, say hi. Because that person is looking at you as the future of our race, as the future of our subculture. And just remember that we stand on the shoulders of other folks that have come by. And I'm a Black Mason. And the Masonic Lodge here in Lawrence is the oldest Masonic Lodge. No, we were the first Masonic Lodge to cross the Mississippi. Of all the lodges that are west of the Mississippi, we were the first.
Wow.
And that says a lot.
It does. So I guess, anybody that knows you knows that absolutely you're a family man. You made the investment in your family. All three of your kids went to college, right?
Yeah.
And then of course, Knucklehead over there, he's in college, and then little Knucklehead, he's on his way. He just got to figure out which sport he's gonna go. He seemed like he could do whatever he wants over there. So, but no, I mean, so, but it's it's something that we all saw from you, and you definitely set that example for us in this community. You know, if and like Bobby said, you know, you're at games, you're at you're taking your own personal time to even worry about other people's families, which is hats off to you for always being that. So, um, what small act of kindness, Mr. Butler, were you once shown that you'll never forget?
I'll tell you, I had I was working a job and I hurt my back, and I hurt my back to the extent I could hardly walk.
Okay.
And I was laying on the sofa asking God for help and guidance, and there was a knock on my door, and a friend of mine handed me a couple dollars. Now they had to drive 30 miles one way to do that. And that was an act of kindness I will never forget. Never.
And what was what I was going to say is, what was the significance? So you said dollars, they gave you dollars?
Yes.
And why was that important at that time?
Because we were trying to figure out how to have dinner for the next day.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, because you couldn't work. And then now, all right, now that's awesome. So hats off to that person, man.
Yes. And you know that person. And one day you and I will be talking, and I'll tell you who it was.
Awesome. We will be talking because Mr. Butler, man, there's so much. You have so much knowledge and experience, and kind of going back to what you were just saying is how we don't use our elders like we should. It's something we've gotten farther and farther away from, and I believe you can read 10 books and not get the value that you can sitting for an hour with someone like Mr. Butler. So definitely, to people watching, like take advantage, sit down. He loves to share. And for younger kids looking at me, like I'm the same way. Like I would love to give you some advice. So don't let that fade away so much. Turn to your elders. Look to your elders.
Yes.
So in the last 5 years, okay, yeah, it does. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you. I get to rambling sometimes, so I like to keep things moving.
If you know me, I ramble too.
So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I would say believing in self, because life is a continuing of the continuance of an evolutionary situation. You're always getting stronger and more intelligent, or you approach things separately or on a time continuum. Okay. I see things a lot differently at 74 than I did at 44, 34, and oh my God, 24. And the one thing I have learned more than anything else is patience. Patience, and understanding that if you have patience, then life will come a lot easier, and understanding will be there.
It's a great answer.
Did I answer your question?
That was a great answer, sir. Yes. Okay. And it's interesting that you said, I guess I don't remember exactly how you phrased it, but life is a continuum, right? So there's always experiences happening. Mr. Butler at 64 is still is completely different than Mr. Butler at 74, right?
Yes.
And that's because you never stop growing, and it's until the light dims. That's your mission, is to get better. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
So, what advice would you give to a kid about to enter the real world? 18, 19 years old, or let's say 22, in that just coming into to the real world for the first time. What advice would you give?
Decide what you want to do and recognize that you can do that. It may not be forever, but you can do it. And then setting up a road. How do I get to this road? And you take it at intervals. You don't try and gather it all in one felt swoop. You take your time. You work it out. Uh, I know a young lady here in Lawrence. She has 6 kids, and they're young. And she told me, I want to be a nurse. I said, then be one. Go. I don't know how I can do that. Yes, all you have to do is believe in yourself and go for it. You got to put some plans in plan. You got to plan. You got to execute that plan. And by the time you finish nursing school, your kids will be at a point where they really need your help financially, emotionally, spiritually, but more importantly, educationally. And if they see you, my kids and I, when I was working on my master's, we would sit at the dining room table a lot, and everybody would be studying, you know. And to me, that was the epitome of getting folks to understand that life is a journey, you know, and you're gonna have some good times, some bad times, but mostly you're gonna have times where you share your experiences and share them on a positive basis, not a negative basis.
Yes.
And like with the kids on my basketball teams, I always told them we were going to beat somebody, you know? And it was, I went into every game figuring we were going to beat somebody. And we were successful most of the time. We were. I had success. We won quite a few Sunflower games, Sunflower State games. I coached in the college and open division, and we won that 10 out of 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And I had Nick Bradford, Sean Pearson, the Williams brothers out of Wichita that played on our played at KU. BJ, I can't remember his brother's name. And then I took that team and I mixed it with the Alexander brothers out of McPherson, Kansas. And we went to 2 men's national AAU tournaments. In one in Des Moines, I think we finished 4th, and the one in Sacramento, I think we finished 2nd. But it was with the understanding that we were good, and we went into each game knowing that we were going to win. Now, sometimes the refs didn't see it the way we did. I remember we were playing a game at William Jewell, and there's a black guy named Pee Wee Summers. He's dead now, but he was the all-time best black athlete at William Jewell College, and he was he was the first black guy to referee a Big 8 basketball game, and I got to be pretty good friends with him, and he was calling our game, and the funniest thing happened. He made a call, and I jumped up, and he said, "Butler, if you stay up there, I'm not going to give you a technical. But as soon as your feet touch the ground, you got to see my brother." So that's it. I looked at it, and on the way down, all I could do was laugh. You know,
That's funny.
well, that was a prime example of life.
Yeah.
You know, you got to look at it as something that you can do and make it better every day.
Yeah.
Every
And believing in yourself, you know, it's like the old saying goes, whether you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right, you know? And, and, you know, coming in with the attitude, like Christian Pope shared, right? Like you said from practice one, we're not going to lose a game and we're going to win the championship. And he's looking around at the guys you got on your team, and he's like, I don't know how we're going to do that, coach, but I believe you. And that's exactly what you did. The mind is very powerful, and what you put into it, you get back. You know, so if you put a bunch of and you know, it took Mr. Butler, it took me many years to learn these lessons, you know, and I'm still learning them as we go. I'm 44 right now, and you know, I just now feel like I'm halfway grown up.
Yeah.
So we all have that moment in our journeys when we want to call it quits, when we are at our lowest, so to speak. When you reach that point on your own path, how did you fight through?
I talked to my mother, and I talked to God. And I told him that if I make one step, would he help me with the next one? And he said yes. And that's what I did. That's what we did. You believe in yourself and never do or say anything that's detrimental to anybody for anything. If they do something crazy, forgive them. If they achieve a great success, don't be jealous or envious. Congratulate them and be earnest in that. Be earnest in your relationships, and life will be good for you.
Secret to living is giving. That's
Yes.
something. So here at Deeply Rooted, our mantra is kill the ego, ignite the soul. What does that mean to you?
That means that you walk spiritually and you never think or do anything that is not beneficial to you and, more importantly, to your family. Okay? Because our legacy is our children. And like I was talking about my Aunt Viney and my grandfather's father, Grandpa Russ, as we called him, and the legacies that they gave us, and surviving that horrific experience called living in Magnolia, Mississippi. By the way, Danny Manning's dad is from Magnolia too.
Oh wow.
You have to work hard at being the best human being you can be, and sharing that, and expecting the people that you're with to be the best that they can be.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. And if we do that, and we convey that through messaging, it makes a difference. And one other thing, never go to sleep angry. Never. It disturbs your rest pattern. And when you go to sleep and you're not angry, you wake up the next day and say, oh, the sun did rise. It'll be a great day. You know?
Mindset is everything. I love that. That was a great piece of advice. I hope y'all caught that. Never go to sleep angry, especially in a relationship. They say never. You better figure it out.
Yeah.
So, if you could have one gigantic billboard displaying a message to millions of people with anything on it, what would it say and why?
Peace.
Peace.
It would say peace. And if you approach life from a peaceful perspective, you can do nothing but spread sunshine and joy. And that's what's important.
Love
Peace.
that. So here, let me see. I finally got this in from Rudy, so I'm gonna play your message from Rudy right quick. Here you go.
Hey, what's up, Coach Butler? It's Rudy. I just want to let you know that I love you. You always try to keep me on the right track, try to keep me staying positive, and I appreciate everything you've ever done for me.
That's my guy, man. He speaks so highly of you, and just so you know, he's doing really well. He had the discipline, or I guess he removed himself from the town, and he's doing a lot of reading and inner work and working on himself and trying to figure out his path, and he's taking his time with it. So I'm very proud of that kid, man. So
I am too. I most definitely am.
yeah.
We went through some rough times together.
Yeah.
But like I told him, I got you back. And I did.
Yeah, and he knows that, he believes that, and he thanks you for that. So so one more question, Mr. Butler, and then I'm gonna leave it open for you to say anything that you feel like you need to say. This one is kind of fun. This is okay, so what song would you consider the soundtrack to your life? Or is there a song you turn to for strength?
I don't have one song.
Okay.
I have an era.
Okay.
And that era is the 60s.
All right.
I grew up with the Temptations, the Miracles, the Supremes, the Dells, the Delphonics, the Spinners, Red Fox, Mama's Mabley, Jackie Wilson. And I saw all of those people live and in living color at the Regal Theater in Chicago, Illinois.
Wow.
And the music then was not as intense as the music now. And I tell folks all the time, you got to mellow out life and not go boom, boom, boom. You go da, da, da. And da, da is a lot better than boom, boom. and I can tell you honestly, I've gotten some looks when I say that.
Yeah.
But I think it's the truth. And one of my most favorite songs is Just My Imagination by the Temptations.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yep.
That's one of my most favorite.
The Temptations is my favorite group. It was a super group,
Yes.
So my daddy, that was his favorite group, and as a kid, we spent a lot of times listening to the Temptations. So
yes,
I love Just My Imagination too. So,
but I'll tell you something. There's an album by the Temptations.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with it, get familiar with it. The name of it is In a Mellow Mood.
Okay.
And once you listen to it, then call me.
I got you. I will do that. Yes, sir.
Once you listen to it, then call me.
Gotcha.
I don't care what time it is or whatever. Just call me.
I got you. That's a done deal. So, Mr. Butler, man, thank you so much. This has been a great interview. I wanted to do this for myself, but I also wanted to do this for the community. You got so much love out of here, and I just kind of wanted to show you some of that so you could see it, and I also wanted to tell you, So thank you for all your dedication to our community and to our people of our community. We love you. And is there any parting words? Is there anything that you want to leave us with?
Yeah. Live long, love, and prosper.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Butler. One of the best things about this interview is hearing them knuckleheads in the back, right? Like it just goes back to the family man that you are, man, and that you're always going to be right in the mix. So once again, we love you, sir. Hats off. This has been a great interview. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Have a great evening.
I promise.
Yeah, man, that was great. We're rolling. We're gonna keep going. Next week's guest is another powerful, wonderful dude, man. I hope you guys are enjoying. Check us out. Instagram, Facebook group, Deeply Rooted, a web series on mindset, thedeeplyrootedshow.com. And we got more to come. One love, y'all.